Okay, posted 45 minutes ago on Push Square. Cory Barlog's busy on Sony Santa Monica's next big thing. So buckle up. We're going to speculate wildly in this video and talk about some of the little tidbits, why people think certain things are happening the way they are. But the very first thing that is worth mentioning is that Bloomberg's Jason Schreier threw a little tidbit in here after this was initially posted saying, quote, "Why does everybody think Cory Barlog's game is a new IP?" We've all just kind of been saying that it was a new IP because that was one of the initial waves of speculation, was that it was a new IP. And I think it's because, you know, they were doing God of War, Ragnarok, and he was sort of I think he took on the role of creative director. He was not like the actual game director. And it was somewhat understood that it was because he was also doing pre-production on something else, and so they weren't quite ready for him to go, you know, all in there. So he still consulted on the game, but he wasn't like totally, you know, balls deep in it. But Jason Schreier's suggesting, and maybe he's just trolling, he does a little trolling, maybe he's just trolling, and it actually is going to be a new IP. But I thought this was interesting that, like, it's just been kind of assumed and presumed for a while that it's a new IP, but we'll get to that later on in the segment because there are some things that people are looking at that might suggest what it is, but we'll get there. The implication here is that it's not a new IP, although it's unclear whether Jason is just having a bit of fun knowing whatever he says will reverberate through the web, including on websites like ours and streams like this one. You're welcome. It should be noted that a handful of Santa Monica's staffers have referred to the fact that they're working on a new IP on their resumes. Okay, while Barlog himself has not been shy about wanting to try something new. In fact, when he was in chat, whenever that was, he said he's excited to share it. Can't say anything, of course, but you know, everybody that's associated with it seems very excited about it, which you could say, of course they're going to say that. They're not going to be like, yeah, it's going to suck. Like, nobody's going to say that, but still. However, there's always a possibility that the dev could be working on a licensed franchise or revisiting something from PlayStation's past, or it's just making more God of War. Maybe they had him start on pre-production for God of War Egypt or whatever it is, and then he's going to jump in after the fact. You know, after they finish Ragnarok, he finished pre-production on that new maybe trilogy or whatever they want to do. Who knows? The original story went like this. Cory Barlog, veteran Santa Monica studio director behind all-time PlayStation classics like God of War 2 and 2018's reboot, is toiling away on the next big thing. We've known for some time the developer has been plotting a fresh IP as Barlog stepped away from directorial duties on Ragnarok, passing the baton to Eric Williams. I could be mistaken. I could have sworn there were interviews Cory did as well where he was pointing out that the game, like doing the game directing was kind of miserable. Like, it is 5 years of you being in charge of hundreds of people's lives and destinies, and it's quite stressful, you know, quite stressful. You don't sleep very much. You don't eat. Well, you probably eat. You don't rest. You know, it's kind of exhausting. So I don't blame him for wanting to like take a game off. You know, there was a story after Uncharted 4 where a lot of the people that worked on Uncharted 4 straight up left Naughty Dog, and some of them left the industry after that game because the crunch was so bad. It was so tough to get that thing put together. It was just miserable. So, you know, making a big budget AAA game that's super, super polished and hitting budgets and deadlines and everything is not an easy thing to do. So it could be that he also just wanted to do something a little bit different. Who knows? Who knows? But in a brief update from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, writing on the Reset Era forums, progress is going well on Monica's new game. He wrote a response to a fan query, quote, "Cory Barlog's game is Santa Monica's next big thing. Last time I spoke to anyone about it a month or two ago, it was going well. So it's their next big thing." So it sounds like, you know, if it is a new IP, there's going to be a new IP between Ragnarok and the next trilogy or whatever they do with God of War. So that's interesting. And I mean, I've seen some people suggest that maybe this is the project that's the smaller spin-off project that's been rumored. So for example, there was rumors that they were going to do an origin story for Kratos that was sort of like initially was thought it was going to be like a Miles Morales Lost Legacy style game, but now the latest rumors are suggesting it's actually more of like a 2.5D platformer. It's not super clear, kind of like a Prince of Persia, Lost Crown, something like that. just a smaller spin-off project. I personally, maybe that is what it is, but I'd be surprised if they had Corey working on a spin-off thing. You know, like this is one of your most successful and accomplished and awarded directors. It feels weird to have him do a spin-off project instead of like a sextuple A project. You know, like if anybody can handle a big project, a big budget, it's Corey. Like let him handle it. But I just personally would not expect that he's doing the spin-off project. Maybe it's a passion project or something, but I'd be surprised. Continuing on, we'd assume the project has become the focus of the studio's attention since it shipped God of War Ragnarok in 2022. Was it really 22? I guess, yeah. Dude, time is flying by. This is ridiculous. So it's possible this will officially be revealed soon, assuming development is, as Schreier alludes, going well. As for what it entails, that's anyone's guess. Barlog has alluded to the idea of a sci-fi game in the past, but it's unclear whether that's what he is working on. Between the likes of Intergalactic, The Heretic Prophet, Saros, Marvel's Wolverine, and whatever this turns out to be, it's looking like there's a unique and exciting end to the PS5 generation ahead. What are they working on? What actually is it? Well, as we said at the very top of this, Bloomberg's Jason Schreier said, why does everybody think it's a new IP? Suggesting it might not be. Maybe it's something totally different. Maybe it's something weird and crazy. Well, going back like 2-3 years, there's been a lot of articles. There's been a lot of speculation on what this would be. This article that was posted to Metro back in mid 2024 went through some of this and specifically looked at LinkedIn posts. So as for the makers of God of War, Santa Monica Studio is one of their most important, but they haven't announced anything new since 2022's God of War Ragnarok, although co-director Barlog has made it clear that he won't be directing the next God of War. Is this a direct quote? Okay, because if this is a direct quote, they don't have it sourced. Okay, can somebody while I'm going through this look and Google to see if he's ever said that directly? He might have just said, I'm not working on the next project or whatever, but I don't know. Try Googling it. Link me in the Discord or something if you find an article about it, and tell me in chat. Because if he said he's not working on the next God of War, then it seems like it's a new IP, right? If it's his next big thing, he's directing it, and it's not God of War, okay, so it's something new. But they don't have a source for that. This is why sourcing's important, kids. In high school, they stressed it. They weren't joking. Instead, he's repeatedly hinted at wanting to make a sci-fi game. And now the LinkedIn page for a Santa Monica Studio developer confirms that whatever they're working on is a new IP. Okay, let's see. The LinkedIn information has already been redacted, but originally said, quote, Santa Monica Studios presented the opportunity of coming back as a character supervisor, looking after the entire character development pipeline on their new IP. So here I am, thrilled to be back working again with the crew and pushing characters and video games together. It's too bad we don't have that post anymore. It's too bad we don't have that. If this is in fact the case, again, I don't know. I don't know if there is a way that you could say it's anything but, I mean, they could have a team working on the next God of War in pre-production. They could have a team working on this new IP, and then Corey could be doing something else. 3 teams seems like a lot for a single studio. It's tough to juggle 3 projects at the same time that are on a AAA scale, but maybe they could. I don't know. The description doesn't mention anything about it being sci-fi or otherwise, but being a new IP means it's definitely not God of War. That's fair to say. Despite their importance to Sony, Santa Monica Studio only has around 250 staff, which is relatively small nowadays, but that should still be big enough to work full out on one game and prototype 1 or 2 others. Well, yeah, full production on one and then maybe pre-production on others. I think 3 teams with a group of like 250 to 300 is not, that's a lot of work to spread with that much, you know. That's crazy. Whether it's the new IP that's in full production or the next God of War, it's unclear, but given how Cory Barlog has been hinting about a sci-fi game, maybe the former. Of course, they were working on a sci-fi game about 10 years ago, codenamed Darkside. It's the project that was canceled in favor of the God of War reboot and would have apparently involved world exploration, but it's unclear if it's related to this new title. Maybe they rebooted it or something. As acknowledged by this video, it was canceled due to layoffs. This was the tidbit. They didn't even timestamp it. Dude, Metro, what are we doing? Yeah, there's the moment where they talk about the layoffs. Yeah, they were working on, yeah, here it is. Look, I just found it. We did it.
And it ended up being a dream that died, literally, in that moment.
It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do in development is when you sink your heart and soul into something and you realize It's not coming together the way we wanted it to. We need to shift gears and restart. That was kind of the abyss for that team.
So that was pretty devastating in many ways. You know, one of the many big appeals of coming here was to work on a new IP on a small team. So I actually joined that in 17 when it was about 20 people. So that was a very, very difficult time for me. So yeah.
That's what they're alluding to, is this new IP that was canceled, and maybe they went back to it and rebooted it or something, but it's not super clear. But I mean, let's just take a moment. Just put yourself in that space. Imagine that you've been working on something for years. And then some corporate bigwigs come in, they look at it. It's not working, it's not clicking. And they decide to shut it down. And all of that work gets put on a shelf. Like, sometimes it is legitimate because the project just wasn't working out. Sometimes you're working on something and it's like, it's just not clicking, or it's not fun, or it's not like, it's just not working. And all those years of work just go out the dumpster, or out the dumpster, into the dumpster. They still got paid. That's true. But it's also like, there's a couple more layers to this that need to be appreciated. For example, like in the games industry, my understanding from people I've spoken to who work in the industry is a lot of it's about what's on your resume. Similar to like an actor or performer. No director, when you're trying to get a role, cares if you worked on a movie that was canceled. They want to know what movies you were in, that you got cast in, and that went to the theater. You know, they want to know what TV shows you were in. They don't care about canceled projects or projects that never saw the light of day, because they just kind of assume, okay, if you worked on something that never saw the light of day, it was probably bad. That's kind of just the dismissal approach they take. And in the games industry, it's a similar thing. Like, if you work 5 years of your life on something that's never seen the light of day, that's just a 5-year hole in your resume. And when you try to go and get a job at a different studio, or you try to go over here or get a promotion or whatever it may be, that does damage to your career prospects, you know, because 5 years is a long time in a career. I mean, that's a good chunk of time. So there's that. And then there's also just the human element. You work on something, pouring your heart and passion into it for 5 years or 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. And for that to just get thrown away, it still sucks, you know? It still sucks. I was talking to a family member they were telling stories of their childhood, and I don't think they realized how toxic it sounded. But they're like, yeah, when I used to misbehave as a child, my father would tell us, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Or if you're stupid, you have to do stupid work. So what he would have them do is literally go out into like the backyard where they had a rock bed, and he would have them shovel all the rocks out and then shovel them all back in. Because he was like, the punishment isn't just the work. The punishment is seeing your time totally wasted. That you did all that work and nothing changed. It's like, bro, that's some crazy, like, super villain shit. Like, that's crazy. That sounds toxic as hell. But that's how he did it. Is he was like, yeah, you did something I didn't like, or you disobeyed or talked back, whatever the punishment was for. Yeah, you're gonna just do this one thing, or you're gonna go do all this work and then we're gonna throw it away. You know, just throw it away. Damn, that makes my job as a rock shoveler sound mundane. Well, if you're shoveling rocks from one place to another, then you're accomplishing something. But if somebody was like, shovel this and then put it back in and nothing changes, it's just meant to like make you feel bad. Isn't that the movie Holes? Maybe that's where he got the idea for it. Maybe that's where he got the idea. It's just like, yeah, you're going to just waste time and accomplish nothing. Even an accomplishment would be a reward. So I'm not even going to give you that. I bet, actually, now that you mention it, I bet he did get the idea for that from that. Yeah, that would be really funny. I'll have to ask. Have you ever seen this? Have you ever seen that movie? Anyway, but I think, like, just in general, as a human, you know, spending 5 years on something, working on it 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and then having it go nowhere just sucks. It just sucks, you know. It sucks. So in a very human way, I can understand how devastating that could be. But that sort of insinuation of what they were working on might suggest that they might have rebooted this project that was codenamed Darkside, and they might be taking another whack at it. Who knows? Who knows? They go on. Then there's Cory Barlog's current Twitter banner, which I'll show you in a second, which has him sitting on a rock on Mars, mimicking a scene from the Watchmen comic where the character Dr. Manhattan is contemplating what to do with his life. And this is it. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good picture too. It's a pretty good picture, honestly. But people are looking at this, be like, oh, he's sending a message that it's a sci-fi game. Maybe. But if he was like, if it was a picture of him in front of a forest, would that mean that we're going to have a game set in a forest? If it's him underwater, does that mean we're going to get Subnautica 3? Like, I don't know. Maybe, but maybe not as well. Like, I just don't think there's much to glean from that. But they go on. Since the LinkedIn information clearly wasn't intended to be made public, it's impossible to guess when Sony might officially announce the new game, but work is clearly underway, so it could potentially happen at any time. I think these are more concept art pieces from that project. Who knows? It looks crazy. And I mean, realistically, just I would think, knowing modern day PlayStation, I'd be very surprised if they're wanting to gamble a ton with like too many projects. I think it makes sense to do another God of War game that's going to print money. So they're probably having one team do pre-production on that or working on it. Did anybody find any results with that Cory Barlog said he's not directing next one? This actually might unironically be a good time to use Grok, because Grok can scrub all these Twitter posts. Fact check this claim. Let's just see if it can find something. Because I maybe he did say that. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. Maybe it's an extraction shooter. maybe that's what he's doing. Careful, Grok may call you a slur. Yeah, you got to be careful. Notice I switched back to this camera just in case. Is your shirt Naughty Dog and Santa Monica Studio? Where's it from? Oh yeah, it's Naughty Monica. Yeah. Naughty Monica. It's a whole thing. It's from when Corey was in chat last time and we kind of made a joke about it. It's still searching. It's still searching. I swear to God, if it just spits me out this Metro article again, it's like, this is what I found, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be mad. Yeah, so it's saying it can't find articles saying that he won't be directing it. This is why you got to be careful when you read these articles, because like people will read this and just be like, oh, so he made clear statements that he won't be directing the next one. But they don't give you any links. They don't give you a timestamp. They don't give you an interview. Like, they just say it. They just say it. And so you have to like check to see if there's actually a source. I'm not even a journalist, and I'm double checking first sources and stuff. Like, what is this crap? Why am I doing this? I shouldn't have to. It's still digging. It's still trying to find it. I appreciate that it's not just like an instant spit out the answer. Like it's actually trying to find results, but it's false. While Barlog did explicitly state in 2021 that he would not direct God of War Ragnarok, the sequel to 2018's God of War, there is no evidence of him making any such statement about a subsequent God of War title. As of July 2025, no follow-up God of War game has been announced, and Barlog has not publicly addressed his involvement or lack thereof in any potential future entry in the series. You know what I bet? I bet when they had ChatGPT write this article for them, I bet what they did is they found a statement where Corey back in like 2021 was saying, I'm not directing the next God of War, which was true. He was not the director on God of War Ragnarok. But now they're taking that and conflating it with a modern statement of the next game. So he could be. I don't know. How much do you trust AI? Well, I mean, it's digging and searching for a source that claims or that makes this claim, and it can't find one. So if one of you guys can find a source where he says that he is not directing the next God of War game, and he said that after Ragnarok launched, then we're talking. Then, you know, the claim is proven. But you don't get to just make a claim and provide no evidence. Like, you got to provide a statement where he says something like that. The claim may stem from an outdated or misremembered reporting about Ragnarok, where Barlog did indeed make it clear he wouldn't direct. In the context of 2025, the next God of War would refer to a post-Ragnarok entry, not Ragnarok itself. Dude, yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes. So anyway, I don't think that claim is actually justified. This seems, it seems weird. And I was like, I don't think I've heard that, but it sounds like I'm not crazy. If any of you guys find any counterpoints or times where he actually did say that, please let me know. But yeah, I don't think he ever said that. Anyway, continuing on. Realistically, what are they working on? I think they are working on a God of War project of some sort. Maybe that's what Corey is doing, is like the Egyptian one, and it's like a reboot of the reboot. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe it's something in a new IP. It's the sci-fi game. A lot of us just kind of assumed that he was working on a new thing, but these statements from Jason Schreier kind of give pause and go, actually, yeah, why did we just assume it was a new IP? Maybe it's not. I don't know. But either way, shout out to Naughty Monica for keeping it so locked down that nobody actually knows what they're doing. Pretty rare nowadays. Nowadays, everything leaks, but they're still keeping it under wraps. Maybe it's the benefit of a smaller team. The fact that they can keep tabs on people a little bit more. I respect it. But we'll see. Either way, we can't wait. We're very excited. Corey strikes a strong balance between gameplay and narrative, and I'm excited for whatever is coming next. And if he is the one behind like the next reboot of God of War to introduce it to realistically the next generation of consoles, I'm here for it. Can't wait. Very excited. And I mean, I'm sure it's also daunting if you're trying to figure out like, how do we take God of War, this thing that now everybody's like fallen in love with again, but how do we reinvent it so it doesn't just feel like the same game over again, but with a different coat of paint? How do we change it in a way that's impactful? It's a tall order, but it's also their job. So I can't wait to see it. He took my thing.